Hey everyone, what's up and welcome to another stream. I hope your Zustand today is great, as we're going to talk a lot about Zustand today. And I'm making this word very clear because I tried to get an American to say the main topic of today's video right, and I think he said Zustand, something like that. So we're talking about Zustand, which actually means state in German. So everyone, you get 60 minutes, probably more or less, time to learn how to say it correctly. Speak with me, Zustand. Okay, that's how you pronounce it correctly in Germany. Also, welcome Nick. I only enabled the membership on this channel with specific icons and emojis for you. Yes, this was on my task list for 2 weeks and I wanted to stick to my word, so now you can become a true fan of the Galaxies Dev channel here on YouTube. Join the membership, you're gonna get epic emotes like my face, Galaxies, React, Ionic, Capacitor, and Nick apparently already discovered them. I'm also happy that Blind Ray is back in the house, and yes, Nick, you are a true fan. I think you're the first now. So, what are we going to do today? As I said, we will use Zustand, and I'm sorry if I later on say something like Zustand or anything else. I just will most likely mess it up because speaking German or speaking English and then switching over to a German word is actually not that easy. So, anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to implement state management in a simple application. So watch over here, by the way. I got another cool package. Oh no, I forgot to add it. No, I want to use my new package, but I totally forgot the name of it. It's something, is it the screen brush? I don't think. Oh, it is. Here we go. This is my new tool. So now I can finally draw on the screen, and this is the area you want to focus on. So we will build this simple application. We will use some dummy data. And what we want to do is we want to implement a card logic. So that means when I add something to the card, notice up here, the card changes. And if I go to my second tab, I can see all the items that are in my card. And of course, from here, I could add them just as well. And also the whole logic, so if an item goes to 0, it would be removed from the card, or also that it's automatically updating up there, will be handled by Zustand. So instead of using something like Redux, we are using Zustand, which is a state library. Yeah, and I think it's one of the most common state management libraries people recommended to me when I asked about this on Twitter in the past. The second one was Yotai, which I think also means state in Japanese, as far as I learned from my designer Brett. So welcome Brett, by the way, if you're in here as well. And with Zustand, we got this epic bear, so that also convinced me to use it, of course. And it will be really, really easy to use it in our application with a store, and we're gonna get through all of this in a second. On top of that, I wanna do even a bit more. So we're gonna do this little shopping dummy list. We're gonna use the dummy data. We implement the Zustand store. We're gonna get the updating of the icon and the card and all that fancy stuff. And then I also want to do one more thing. So as you know from all my videos, there's always one more thing. And today's one more thing is a package called MMKV. This package is actually used or was developed initially by Tencent for the WeChat application, as far as I know. And there's an MMKV package for React Native as well that we're gonna use by is it Mark Rosset? Yeah, it's Mark Rosset. He's been also recently on the Infinite Red podcast. I think he's from Austria, actually. I'm gonna bring him on our podcast as well pretty soon. By the way, if you haven't checked it out, episode number 2 is out. I'm talking to David Little-Yet about shipping React Native apps. You can find it at podcastgalaxies.dev. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. So from there, you can check out episode 2. You can also subscribe on GitHub if you haven't. And of course, weekly episodes coming every week. I just recorded another one yesterday. Those episodes are just great, I promise you. But anyway, MMKV is a pretty cool thing because it is like async storage, but better. it's using C++ under the hood to give us a storage option that is a lot faster than just using async storage. Because async storage is async and it is slow, so we make a request, we get back data, and it always takes some time. And MMKV is a lot faster. And now you might ask, well, that's cool, Simon, we want to talk about state management. Well, bear with me. We can easily include MMKV with Zustand and combine it. So shake hands between the packages, which means our state will be written to the storage with MMKV, and once the user loads the application, we are just back with the same state we had before. So we don't even have state management, we also kind of have like caching for that state, or storing of that state, or saving of the, I don't know, we'll call it whatever you want. So that's a cool thing about MMKV. Kudos again to Mark Rosset, and of course in general to MMKV, but he's doing amazing things. So Mark, if you see this, or if anyone knows Mark, ping him. I want to bring him onto the Rocket Ship podcast as soon as possible. Okay, that's a lot to begin with. I hope you're all ready. I'm really happy to see Nick and Blind Ray in the house. Who's tuning in as well today? Let me know in the chat. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready for some Zustand action. Or probably also let me know in your own language what Zustand means, because or a state means. Maybe there are gonna be some more packages in the future, so I just want to know which language you're using. So there are probably, once again, people from South America, India, Australia. That doesn't make sense. I think you don't have a special word for state besides state. But if there's anything else, please let me know. Antonio, welcome to the chat as well. It's so nice at the beginning of the stream when the coffee is still warm. I love it. So the initial thing we want to implement is we're gonna first of all close that, and here we go. So I started a new Expo application. This is using the TEPS template, which means we have the file-based routing, but it's actually not that interesting today. I'm gonna quickly kill this, and I want to run on my default port. Who is blocking my port? Nobody. Great, that's good news. Oh, by the way, we're gonna I should go back to the desktop. By the way, we go for a dev client in the end as well with Expo, so another thing to learn. Hello from Serbia, Milorad. Antonio, hello from Africa, welcome. So here's the application already coming up. Hello, guten Tag, Jean-Philippe. Korrekt. Guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren. That was your German for today, besides learning Zustand. Does Zustand sound very hard to you, by the way, for people speaking other languages? I feel like Zustand is like a very hard word. It doesn't sound like Spanish or Italian names like Francesco or something like that. Where do we get started? I've been so caught up with Zustand. Let's see. Let's start by loading some dummy products. I prepared a data file that I'm gonna drop into the assets folder. Once again, shout out to the Fake Store API. Really a big fan of it, and because I want to save the Fake Store API some bandwidth, I'm usually making just one call to the API and then grab the JSON and store it locally. I think you're happy about that. If you're using free product like this, either buy them a coffee or really do it that you don't like use more bandwidth than you really have to. So let's close this, and here's my data file with like 20 items, and based on those 20 items we will now build our index file. So the index file is the one that's displayed right here, I think. Let's remove a bit of the stuff here. Okay, that's new. Why can't I remove things on my what the oh, it's something new every stream. Now I couldn't remove words in my editor. It's what the anyway. Okay, we got the container, but I don't really want the alignment of the items. but what I want is a flat list. So yes, we could use a flash list and we could also use a scroll view. I mean, it's a dummy application, so I'm not really concerned about the data right now. Also views coming from React Native. And Nick, by the way, I got Copilot chat. I actually haven't used it a lot yet. Also, I decided for things like the stream, I want to disable Copilot because it gives like recommendations all the time, and we actually want to learn and write stuff, so it's kind of hard in that case. Okay, so data needs to be set to some kind of data, and we need a render item, and then we got the flat list. So our data comes from the assets file, so we can just add it right here. Cannot find it. Under assets, data JSON. I would say the file exists. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late night in the what is this? The file is definitely under assets/data JSON. I'm not an idiot. Or assets. Cannot find esconfig. Yeah. But let's return a view in here. I want to just make sure that we got this as well. We're gonna extract the item here, and then we're gonna just return text, whatever. So why is it not? The MMKV works with Expo Go? Nope, it's not. But we're going to make a simple dev client, and then it will work again. Assets can amplify within the project in these. It's not in that folder. Where are you looking, my friend? I don't know what you're doing. Let's restart this. Oh no, I closed my simulator. I had a tool. By the way, Expo launched a new tool yesterday called Expo Orbit, which allows us to quickly launch our simulators. It's really helpful. I've been using something else before, but this is also cool. Yeah, probably I have to restart my Visual Studio Code because let's see what Copilot gives us if I ask it. Oh yeah, what a great fix, what a great idea. Definitely not going to do that. Okay, so you said I should simply close this and open this up. Yeah, why did I position this in the right position? It's cool. Of course, I can just restart it. There we go. I hope, was it the store app? Yeah, I hope so. Now we can reposition this again. And the assets file is still there. What's your problem? It's data.json. Just import it. I mean, otherwise we can also just make the HTTP call to the fake store API. Would have just been a bit easier and nicer. Like, cannot find module. Did they change something in the tsconfig? Oh, why is this not included anymore? So the path alias was previously included in the Expo template. This of course needs to be here to resolve the path from the top level correctly. So now it should work. This is an experimental feature, I think. Experiments routes, and we should also have tsconfig path in here. I don't know why that wasn't included. They must have changed the base for the tabs project. Anyway, back to this npx expo, and we're back on track. And now with that in place, we should be able to figure out our view here. So instead of rendering a text, what I would like to render is of course something else. Pressing I to bring up the iOS simulator, and then we're hopefully back in game. Yeah, so here's the flat list based on our data. Let's get started with an image. Well, actually, let me bring in this first component. So the first one would be an image. We probably need some styling. I don't need a separator, I don't need a title, but I need a card item image. And of course the image from React Native. And I feel like I forgot, yeah, to fix this. Now it's no image, so let's say this has a width of 50. If you don't give your image any width, it won't have anything. So let's do it like this, and then we have the first list of images. What an epic list. We probably also want to have like a container around the actual items. So let's wrap it in this container. View style equals styles.card item, and I'm gonna wrap this. This actually goes into. Okay, we need to be careful, people. Careful, careful. We need to put this into the function here. And okay, don't mess this up, Simon. Now we got it twice. I want to have it once. I should probably. I feel like we should put it in its own function. That's usually better. So render item, list render item. I don't know, I don't have the item type right now. And then we're gonna extract the item, destructure it, and return this view. So let's do this instead. I mean, we could also just omit the whole thing because I don't plan to do anything in here. So yeah, now we just need to figure out where I went wrong here with my brackets. I think that's it. And now the list render item can just use our render item function, and everyone will be happy. Close this, close that, and voila, finally. What's the name of the VS Code extension? Do you have to show your errors? Do you mean when I like mess this up? Like this? I think it's something with beauty, TypeScript errors. TypeScript, I should probably filter this by enabled or installed. Let's see. Should be. I have a bunch of things that I think I actually don't use. Colorize, console snippets, debugger, dogger. Nope. Oh, that's a long list. I got so much stuff in here. I should probably clean this up. Why did I install all of this? I don't need most of it anyway. It's not path. Is it Peacock? No. Pretty pretty TypeScript errors. That's the package. So pretty TypeScript errors helps you or gives you better TypeScript errors. They're more detailed and just have more information. Have you tried FlatList? No, I still need to do. I mean, I know how to use it. But as far as I know, for FlatList, I also need to make a dev client. Okay, in this case, it's probably, I could just do it because we're gonna do it in the end as well. But in the usual case, I just don't wanna create a dev client if not necessary. I mean, it's not that hard, but yeah. Do you have any experience with the FlatList, David? Do you recommend it, or do you dislike something about the FlatList? By the way, this is not all this with some more information. I just want to show quickly how we can piece this together. So let's give our row or our item, first of all, a row setup and align the item center with a bit of gap. And then for the card item container, no, it's actually the actual item container. We're gonna use flex1, so it will use all of the available space until we add our buttons to the end. So we have the row with the name and the price, or actually this is the row. And now we're gonna put in another view, and that view will host our buttons, like buttons container. Styles.button container. So in here we're gonna put flex direction row as well. So this is for the two buttons we wanted to have at the end for plus or anything, and then we're gonna also align the items. Align items in the center. Oh, come on. Okay. We don't have the buttons yet, so let's add them. Yes, David, FlatList, as far as I know, also has better performance. For everyone checking this out, FlatList is a faster way to handle this. I'm still amazed that there's like no real great solution after years of React Native, and this is still a problem. I could probably install it, and maybe we're just gonna do it in the end. It has some other drawbacks, like yesterday I talked to someone who's building an application, and he had a requirement to scroll to a specific item in the list, and that item was like at position 200. And FlatList only renders like a few items and has an estimated size, and so if you wanna like say, okay, please render 200 items, then you lose the benefit of like why you used it in the first place. So there are always drawbacks between the different things, and you really need to evaluate which library works for you. But maybe we can try this later out. Yeah, that's a good idea. For the card item name, so we're just gonna say this is here, and then we might have another touchable, or actually we need two touchable opacities now. Touchable opacity. By the way, I have a strange error. Okay, no, it's working. That it wasn't adding the import, but everything cool, everything cool. On press, we're gonna do something, and within I will display an icon using Expo vector icons. Let's use remove. For stuff like this, it's actually I really like Copilot. Copilot would have just finished this line without any question, and it would be perfect. So here we go. So now, yeah, on press do something. I don't know. Just do nothing. Oh, can I just not do anything in here? Do I actually have to define it if I don't have anything? No, I don't. Okay, so we have the minus. Let's add the add. So then we have both icons. I'm going to give them a bit of padding. I'm just going to do it in here. So let's give this one padding 10 and to another one as well. Okay, cool. So this is our basic list of items. That was a pretty quick and easy thing to implement. Now, after adding this, it's time to install Zustand. What is this? The problem I had? No. No problem. Thanks for subscribing. Welcome to the channel. By the way, I completely forgot to mention, or wanted to mention this, that we're talking today about like local state. If you're interested in like server state and managing HTTP calls in your application, don't forget to check out one of the latest courses we had on Galaxies about using APIs and 10-stack query. I think we also used this in one of the recent streams. Yeah, I think so. So definitely putting this here, 10-stack course on Galaxies. Go check that out if you're interested in learning more about that. And by the way, there are a lot more courses. So I just released a SQLite course. Just this week I made the notifications course with push notifications. So there's really now pretty much all the basic stuff about React Native and Expo covered. Getting started, publishing, mastering navigation. We even have already Firebase, ChatGPT. And I don't know why it's not showing my upcoming course, but I also had like a Superbase course upcoming. And another one on state mesh when we'll also dive deeper into this. And I also reworked the landing page to talk more directly to React Native developers. We're still fine-tuning this a bit, but go check it out. It's getting better every day, and the Discord server is active, and we will hopefully also soon revamp and restart the office hours we had. Okay, with that being said, let's continue with Zustand. Now it's really finally time to edit. So the installation is just npm install Zustand. You're a TypeScript user, be sure to check out TypeScript user section. Yes, there's gonna be a tiny difference in how we use it, or actually not really a difference. It's more like an additional thing we're gonna have to do. So what I want to do is I want to now create my store. A store looks like this. I'm gonna copy this over and I'm gonna create a new folder. I'm gonna call the folder store and call this one the cardstore.ts file. So this is the basic idea of creating a store with Zustand. We have, for example, bears in that case. You can increase it, then it would call a set function in which we set the state value to something +1 and return that, or remove it and set the bears to 0. Of course, that won't really make a lot of sense in our case. In our case, we want to have like products. And you see that Typescript is also not really happy about how we're using it. I feel like we could zoom in a bit more. Zoom workspace, we're already at 5. I feel like this is really small, like let's go to 6 for this. Okay, so what we're gonna do as TypeScript users is the following. We're gonna start by exporting an interface, and I wanna call this my card state, or you could call it whatever you want. In that card state, I will of course have products, and the products will be of the type, let's say, new file interfaces.ts. And do we still have the fake store API call? Because, oh, actually I could have taken this from, sorry, fake store API. I didn't want to make that call. That was not my intention. What I want to do is I want to use my data, copy that, and then in that new file, I'm gonna hit Command-Shift-P, JSON to TypeScript convert from clipboard, which would create these nice interfaces for me. And I'm gonna call this one product. Rating can stay the same, and I wanna make sure that I also export them. So now I have the interfaces for my JSON, like my fake JSON response. Okay, back to the actual card state. So the products is going to be an array which contains products. So I could just use products in here, but that won't be enough. The problem is that I misspelled this, but I also want to know the quantity for a product. So if you have something like this, you can easily add the information by saying this has another property. So there's some TypeScript stuff, and it has the property quantity, which is going to be a number. So it looks a bit complicated, but overall, you know, it's just a product which has another property. Okay, we're definitely gonna have functions that we will call on the state, like adding a product to the card, which means we pass a product to this function and it returns a void. On top of that, we have the same. We want to reduce a product by 1, which also has the side effect that we might have to remove an item completely, but we're going to figure that out as well. Eventually, we also want to clear the card completely, so just have a function that we don't need to pass anything to it. And then also, let's say, for our card up here, so you've seen in the example that we had like the number of items. If we only use it like this, then you can already imagine like you're gonna have some kind of layout file where you set this batch up there. And if you want to set the batch based on this array, you're gonna have like if and map and checking the quantity for every item. So instead of going complicated at that, let's just keep an item's number in here, which we can update while we add and remove items from our card state. That makes a lot more sense. So now we can say this here is a card state store. And this will make TypeScript, first of all, a bit mad. But then we can simply implement all of these functions. Actually, I'm going to start with the easy one first. So items will be initially 0 and products will be an empty array. Then you can already see that if I would end this now, my state is actually fine. Like this is not super cool here, but overall our store is already finished. So let's implement them, because these are the critical functions that we will be able to call on our store. And then I'm going to show you how we can use the store easily in our application. Okay, first call here. So we get the product, then we have a function to set the new state, and the biggest problem here will be the brackets, really. Okay, let me try and copy this over. Clear card will be pretty much the same. I forgot something. I feel like clear card. Actually, clear card. Why are that? Oh, this shouldn't be there. We have in clear card. Maybe we're gonna start with clear card as it's going to be the easiest one. So what clear card should return here is an object with products set back to an empty array. So this is the probably easiest state function here of our card. Calling clear card will simply set products back to 0, and it should actually also set items to 0, right? That makes sense. Yeah, good catch. Thank you for noting. Cheers to that. Also 18 people today, nice. Getting more React Native people in here, I like it. Previously, there were usually, if the topic was React Native, there was like nobody in the stream. It was always just Ionic and Capacitor. I'm glad to see more people jumping into the stream. There's more to come, people. Don't forget to subscribe so you get notified about the upcoming videos and streams. Where did I left off? Adding a product. I mean, adding a product isn't really that hard. First of all, we're gonna update our items value in the state, ++. Like the old school C++ days, just ++, or could also do ++ in front of it. Now I want to check if we already have the product. So has product, we'll check our current state, state.product, and try to find the item which has the same ID, and because we're using Typescript, we can check ID is equal to the new product ID that we want to add. Okay, so has product will now return or find, in fact, will actually return an array, right? But that's not really a thing. We're just gonna check if we have the product, then we just need to update the quantity. If we don't have the product, we will add it to our product state. And by the way, I want to call this, of course, use card store, not bear store. All right. That means in this case, it's pretty easy. What we want to return, our new state should just have the same product array. So all the information that we previously had in products plus the new product set with a quantity 1. So it looks a bit complicated, but we're basically just taking all the values that are currently in the product, and we're also attaching quantity 1. This is the else case. We don't need that in here. If we already have the product, it's going to be a bit more challenging, as we're going to return an object again. But this time, it's not going to be that easy. So we set products now to state.products.map. So we're iterating all the products we have. And for every product, we're gonna check if, again, the product ID, or actually if we could use has product. Yeah, but that's going to be ugly anyway. We're gonna have to go through everything. Yeah, we could probably improve it a bit with an index or something, but not a big deal. For this showcase of a state, it won't really make a difference. So once we found the item, we're gonna return everything in that product and set the quantity to p.quantity plus 1. Okay, and otherwise we're just gonna return the current item of the iteration, which means we have again the product array, but we've increased this one item, and that is our add product function for our state. It's really not too complicated if you check out the different ways. And now we just have to basically reverse this. I think I could tell Copilot to just reverse this for reduce product. At least I feel like we could. But maybe it's a bit different. So in this case, we will start by returning something. We're gonna return our products. So again, state.products.map. So we're going through all the products that we have. And if the product ID matches, equals to product ID. If the product ID matches, we're gonna first of all say, hey, state items, let's reduce this by 1. And let's also return the product stuff and the quantity p.quantity minus 1. Now bear with me, if this goes to 0, we're gonna handle this later. We don't really need an else block, we can also just use return p in here. Okay, that would be already enough, but as I said, we now also want to filter out all the items or the products that went to 0. So what we're going to do additionally is we're going to add a filter here, and we're going through all the objects and saying, hey, product quantity has to be greater than 0. Okay, that's our reduce product function. And with that, you have completely implemented a state logic for your e-commerce application. In a few weeks, I'm already working on a full stack e-commerce application where we'll also use something like this. I'm pretty sure you're gonna love that, by the way. That is going to be an epic tutorial with a Neon database and like a Node Express backend, so you're really gonna love that. And Drizzle, another cool thing. Like, I'm just using cool packages lately. Zustand, Drizzle, Convex, all the cool things. Anyway, so we have our cart store. I definitely also want to export that, so export default use cart store default, and with that in place we can head back to our index file, and we can now, without wrapping our application in context or setting up any kind of initialization or anything else, we can just use this, and this is so cool. So back on the tab 1 screen, I'm going to use my const reduce product and add product from use cart store. And because we're using the path alias, I can even make this a bit more beautiful. So now I can just attach these functions to my touchable. So when I want to remove an item, I'm gonna just add, let's put this up here so you can see this correctly. On press, I will call reduce product, and I have to pass the item to it. So we're calling it like this. What is the item? It's item, okay. And the same is now true for this one here. This one will be add product with the item. So at this point, clicking on the buttons does actually change our cart. This is all you have to do with Zustand. Like, just destructure this and use it however you want. You could also have different other ways of using it. So if you check out the documentation for Zustand, let's bring this up. Where is it? Here we go. Is this Zustand? Yes. So there are also other ways to include this. For example, I could get it out of it completely like this. There's also the array way to extract this. So we've used pretty much this one. But you could also have like array pick or object pick. This will always, I think both cases are like completely the same. They will re-render our component when it changes. So not really a big difference, but you could pass it to it. Also, I think, okay, let's not mess this up. What is the syntax? Use beer store state. Come on. So we could probably do it like this. And then I had reduce product. I could, I could make it available as on reduce product. So like this. And then I could use on reduce product. I kind of like the simplicity of the first approach. So this would be on add product, and would be add product, and I could instead use that. think I made yeah, I think I messed up. The thing is, what I wanted to tell you is that the easiest way is like the best for me. So just use it like this, and it gives us everything that we need. We don't need anything else to use our Zustand. How can we verify this? Now the problem is I only have the total Zustand items, so I don't have the item number. We could probably have a function for that as well. But let's just see. Let's go to our layout file. I think this is the place where we currently render this fancy button up here. So I'm going to change that. Actually, it's not the layout here, it's the layout in the tabs folder. And then we should have header right, exactly. I'm gonna keep it for the modal, but I want to change this. So what I want to do is I want to get the current items, and therefore I will say, okay, please give me the items, not in uppercase. That's not necessary to use Zustand, although Zustand sounds like you're shouting at someone. Use card store. No, not use callback, use card store. Please use the right import. And please Visual Studio Code, you know that there's an alias, just use it like that. And this should be our items, and I'm gonna include it here. So I'm gonna make this a touchable opacity from React Native. Style, they usually need some margin right. And then we're gonna have a text element here. And then we put in items. And let's see, okay, we have 0. And ta-da-da-da! Magic. It's magic. Oh, this is also nice. Nice magic. Let's make this a bit bigger. Style. Let's just say the font size should be something like 16. Then we have the font weight should be bold. Okay, we can already see it a bit better. And maybe we can give this a different background, or let's set this. Let's see. I'm gonna set this here to my screen options. So then we have a nice dark color here. I'm gonna set the color of the icon here to white. Okay, so notice, I can completely change this. This is not changing anything anymore because that item seems to be at 0 already. The other items are those. So we have implemented the actual card. In the background, this is totally fine using our card. Only problem is if I reload the application now, of course the card goes back to 0, which is not the optimal case, but we can fix this later. For now, what I want to do is I want to actually grab this here and add this to this one right here as well. So on the second tab, we will also have that. And now what we're going to do next is we will iterate on our tab 2 over all the items. So I'm going to copy this over and I'm gonna replace everything in here. And I'm gonna call this now tab 2 screen. But what I want to do is I don't want to render the data anymore. On this screen, I want to also get the items from our card store. Remember the items? No, the products. I want to get the products from our card store. So the products are the items that we have added to the card. And I'm going to use this for my FlatList. And additionally, I want to render a text element here using item.quantity. Let's see. Oh, okay, you don't know about this one. So I can tell you this one is going to be a product and quantity number. So then it should be work, yes. Okay, so let's see, I'm just putting this one thing in my bag and boom, here we go. Our card is displaying exactly the items that are added to it. And because I'm just using the same actions from our store in all the places, I could now also change it up here. So the card always reacts as we have supplied the right actions, which makes it super easy. Like, you don't have to call any kind of update. And me coming from Angular, it was always a pain with subscriptions and observables and subjects and whatnot. And, I mean, we now got signals in Angular, that's cool. But still, the state management was always a bit painful. Yes, there's NGRX and stuff like that, but Zustand, like, you can't beat the simplicity of this. We just have this one card store here, which even has a nice interface. Then we have our functions and actions defined here, and we can just import it without any context wrapping around our React application. And I found this to be really, really easy. Debugging this, I actually don't know if there's a package to debug this correctly. I don't know if this works with Flipper. Does anyone in the chat know how you can correctly debug Zustand? Not sure if it works with Flipper or any of the usual React Native debugging tools. Anyway, there's still two more things. So we still want to use MMKV to store our card, because again, if I now hit refresh on the application, the card is going to be empty again. Also, this still opens the modal. That's great. That's good. So just to wrap it up on Zustand for today, there's more to Zustand, so you can check it out on GitHub, of course. But we've used the basic stuff of writing actions. You could also have async actions or read the state. So they're just the special cases that you might want to go through when you finally implement Zustand in your own applications. You can also directly subscribe to the state in your pages. So for example, in our case, we're using products here, and then when product changes, it re-renders our component. But you could also manually subscribe to it in case that helps you out. Additionally, you can also use it without React. That's not really interesting for us today. But there's also another library, another German library actually, called immer. Right? Immer is always in German. Have you tried immer? No, I haven't, to be honest. But if you want to reduce the nested states, immer looks to be a solution. I haven't completely gotten my head around how immer works, but if anyone in the chat has experience with immer, let me know, or we're gonna tackle this in the future. Now, cool thing is there is middleware. Middleware is what we will be using, for example, to persist our storage. And this is now where MMKV comes into play. So yeah, you could also have like a session storage or something. There also seems to be an immer middleware and a lot more to check out. But we will use MMKV. So let's get into it. This is the original package, MMKV, small mobile key value storage developed by WeChat. I think under the hood, is it using C++? At least yeah, but it's just unbelievable fast, right? And we will use the according implementation for React Native, which is React Native MMKV by Mark Rosset. Again, it's super fast. I think he has a benchmark as well. So you see, this here is async storage. This is SQLite, RealmDB, Watermelon, MMKV. If you're really interested in speed, if you want to get the fastest storing mechanism, MMKV is what you want to use. There are other drawbacks to it. For example, it has a limited size. Like if you just put more and more stuff into it, I think at one point your application will just crash. So MMKV is not made to store and cache all your images and requests that you made in your application. In that case, you might want to use something else like SQLite, but you definitely don't want to use async storage. There's also an open issue about this that you might want to check out in that case. So it grows and grows until it's just crashes. So it's not a database, it's a memory map for key value storage. There's a long discussion about it. Check it out if you want to. It's issue 440 here, which is, by the way, closed. But there are always drawbacks to things. So with Expo, we can install it. We just have to make a pre-build. But don't fear, I'm here. Oh, that rhymes. That rhymes. I wasn't expected, but that rhymes. So Expo install React Native MMKV. And once we got that, we can't use Expo Go anymore. We have to make a Expo pre-build. So what would you like your Android package name? I will just stick to the defaults for now. It will create those folders. We're gonna have to wait a second here. But overall, it's not that hard. So with Expo pre-build, you now have an Android and an iOS folder in your application from which you could run the native application, but you don't have to touch it if you don't want to. So you can still stick to the Expo CLI and the commands. That should be just fine. Okay, yes, we're done. And I will follow this up with npx expo run iOS, because I want to run it here on my iOS device. So this will plan the build. Of course, you could also run it on Android. Yeah, you should also be able to run it on your device directly. I think, at least. And we will try and use the most basic version of MMKV now. So let's see. While this compiles, I will go to the modal. So on the modal page, I will remove this trash here. No, it's of course not trash. It's not trash. It's good. But we don't really need this. And what I want to do is I want to grab the name of the user or something. Like name, set name. Thanks for subscribing. You opted in for some epic weekly tutorials. Congratulations. That was a great decision. We're going to use state. And we will now get this from our storage, from our MMKV storage. We're going to have to define that first of all. Just noticed. So let's do this in our store folder as well. I'm just going to call this one mmkv.ts. And within, we want to start by saying export const storage, or call it whatever you want, new mmkv. And then you can pass in some optional arguments, or you could also just use it exactly like this. Also, okay, this is still running. That's good. I thought we were already lost. So for example, you could have multiple mmkvs, and this one would be my card storage. So that would make things a bit easier. You could have a different storage, so you don't have, like, perhaps you want to store some user data as well, and at some point you might clear that or not, and you don't want to affect the card storage. So now comes the interesting thing. No, the interesting things comes later. First of all, application works again. Just to confirm, application is fine. We're good. We're back in the game. So now let's go back to the modal screen, and on that modal screen I want to get from storage, so we're importing it from our mmkv file that we just created. I want to call storage get string, and you see get all keys, get boolean, buffer number, string, and I want to get the string something like user.name, and then in the view I will say something like text welcome to the app name. So it should, in theory, display my name when I go to that modal. Now, on first start, oh, it actually has my name. Where does it have my name from? Well, apparently I used this before and I have the same bundle ID. Let's use something else. Let's use display name. So then we should have no, yes, then we have no name. Okay, so how can we set that name? We can just do it right with a button. Let's go const update name. And the cool thing about MMKV, not async storage, is that all of this works synchronous, not async, like with async storage. No, we can just call storage.set, and I want to set user.displayName, and I want to set this to Simon from galaxies.dev. Okay, I'm gonna render a button down here, React Native button, and on press I will call update button, title update. Okay, so hitting update will set my state. We have now written this to the storage. It's not immediately updated because there's no connection directly. So going back into this shows now Simon from galaxies.dev. Okay, so this is the basic usage. Create your storage, You can use an ID if you want to or not, or you can even have encryption or define a path, but that's optional. Then you can just set your data under different keys. You can get the data, or you can check if certain keys exist. You can store it and clear, like all the basic stuff you would expect from a general storage mechanism. If you want to store objects, you have to serialize them. So JSON stringify the object. You can also encrypt the data if you want to, and that's pretty much it. Under hooks, we're gonna probably see, yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't used that one before. Let's see. Let's quickly do this. Let's do a text input. Text input value is going to be my name. So that's going to be a bit more complicated, I guess. Use MMKV string. Key is still user.display name. Let's just not do it with a button, with a text input. I will just use like this. And so if I now press the button, I would expect this to change. Let's see. Okay, did I make a typo? Display name, no. Okay, so what's the deal here? Provides an easy to use hook. Username, use MMKV string. Actively use, that should work. Why does it not work? Or is it not bound? Is it just loading at once? But still, even if it is loading at once, name should be display. Let's see. Can I just hit? Oh, I can't. Can I reload? Yeah, I can reload. Of course I can. Okay. This is not exactly working as expected. Key instance. Do I have to provide the instance? So instance is not provided. Shared default instance will be used. Do I have to provide? I need to provide my storage. So now if I click the button, yeah, that's what I expected. So we have to provide our storage here, and then it's like a state and it automatically updates our value. So when I press the button, update is called and it sets the value just like you would expect with useState. However, all of that is just showing you the basic stuff of MMKV. Now I'm showing you why I actually wanted to add this. So we come from this example of Zustand and our store, and we now want to persist that store because when the user comes back to the application, you probably want to have still the same card, and that would be quite cool. So there's now something we can implement for storage. That looks like this, and we can import the state storage from Zustand middleware persist. There are different implementations for this on the Zustand page, and it's basically just defining how those items will be set, get, and removed. And that means for set item, we're now using the MMKV storage engine. To get the item, we call getString, and then we have delete for a specific string. This is the middleware we're now using. And to make that now work with our card store, we kind of need to completely fuck up the logic we have here. Well, not the logic, the structure. And that's going to be tough because we now need to somehow wrap this into this persist block. Let's see if I can somehow figure this out without completely killing everything that we had. I think we have the create card state as a function now. And then we have another function here in which I call persist. And then we have set and get. Persist, let's see. Set and get from persist. No, actually there needs to be another bracket. And then I assume at some point we close this. Yeah, they expect another bracket somewhere. It's going to be challenging to find the right bracket now. Okay. Okay, we could have probably done this in a different way. Let's see. I'm not messing up here with the stuff. Let's see, I'm just grabbing this whole block here we had before. Okay, and persist opens up. We have set and get, and then we should have our object inside. Oh, come on, just get rid of the wiggles here. Create card state, persist, set, get. By the way, it looks pretty good until here. Expected 2 arguments, but got 1 an argument. Oh yeah, we need the options argument, of course, down here. That's the most important part to make the persistence work. I am sorry I forgot about that part. So in this object, we have to tell which option or where we want to persist our data. And that's going to be the card storage. And the storage is going to be, what we've already seen online, create JSON storage, and a function that is now using the Zustand storage from MMKV. That was a hard task. Are we good now? We got Zustand? I think we got everything. Let's hit refresh. Unable to resolve Zustand middleware persist from store card store. I would say you can, but maybe I have to run a new build. That could be an issue. But overall, I think we're pretty good with what we've implemented. We have the state from Zustand persist. We have the interfaces, and for the card store, we have this from MMKV. We have create JSON storage from. We don't really need it from here. Yes, okay. So we just need it from Zustand middleware. I wonder if we can also, yeah, that looks good. Okay, let's see. Here's the application. We got 10 items. Still, the whole logic works as before. Now let's hit refresh. And boom. Still, all the 7 items are in the card because they're stored with MMKV, which is connected with our Zustand. That was a hard task. That was really challenging to make this work, but in general, you just have to wrap everything you have in this persist function and then supply the actual storage that you want to use. So you can see we have the card storage here, and we gave it the same ID here. And now they are connected, and Zustand is using MMKV to automatically store and update the Zustand to our file system. Okay, file system? No, it's actually in memory. That's why MMKV is that fast, right? That was a hard job. Let me know in the chat if you're still with me. Give me some thumbs up or some fire. I really need some support because that was quite hard to implement, and it was an hour of hard work, really. We've done easier stuff before, definitely. We've done easier stuff. But I hope this gave you an idea of how you can use Zustand, which is a great library to manage your state, and also add something on top with React Native MMKV. Again, Mark Rosé, if you watch this, come join me on the Rocket Ship podcast. I want to talk about this and the other packages you've done. And I actually don't know who made Zustand. I assume it was somebody from Germany. I don't know, but yeah. I'm glad everyone's here. How can you see the values of the story? I guess you mean Zustand in MMKV. That is a good question. Let's search for the word debug on this page of Zustand. There is no way. It's a good question. So in the past, as I said, I used Flipper or Reactortron. But for Reactortron, we have to include some stuff to make it work with Expo. So that's a bit more complicated. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. That's actually going to be interesting. Yeah, maybe a dev tool. Is there a dev tool? React Native Zustand dev tool. Is it possible to... React Redux, maybe Zustand can too. I used that and it's working. So there seems to be a Flipper plugin for the Zustand store 2 years ago. That should be fine. We can probably even give it a try and install it. Oh, we wanted to also do the FlatList. I don't know if we're going to do it. Let me just install this one. Import Zustand Flipper, where we do the store. And then, oh no, we're wrapping everything again. I don't want to do this again. We already have persist. I don't know if I can put another layer on top of this. Can I do this? Like Zustand Flipper around persist? Well, apparently we can. That might be now a problem. If we reload this, rec data flipper. Oh yeah, I think if we add this, we would have to do another. Oh, do I have to run a pre-build again now? I'm not completely sure, but it looks like there is at least a way to use this. I'm going to use Flipper as well. I'm going to try to open this up in the background. Other questions? Nix, thanks again. I love your emotes. I really just made them for you the other day. How Zustand really works behind the scenes, like how does it handle the rerunners? Oh, I didn't look into the source code of Zustand. I was just happy that it is really that easy without actually using a context. Good question how it works. It's probably using context itself somehow, and then to create the hooks. I assume so, yeah, something like that. Good afternoon, Vilja. A bit late maybe, but still good afternoon. And Jean-Philippe. Oh yeah, maybe a dev tool. Just gave a like and returning back to search any practical query methods like Mongo methods in Spring Boot, which existing in... I'm not entirely sure what you mean. I wasn't really working with Node.js right now. You know out there, don't you? Okay, Zustand Flipper is apparently wrecking our application here. It might be the case that I have to run an actual pre-build first and then run it on iOS. Which I probably won't. We can also, again, if we use the FlatList now, it won't really make a difference. And maybe this Flipper plugin also isn't working very well with Expo and pre-build. I haven't tried this yet, but it looks like there seems to be some problems. Does all NPM React libraries work with React Native? Not really. By the way, this is not working here with Zustand Flipper. So that's kind of sad, because I agree to you that debugging your store and your state is actually kind of crucial. So I will try and figure out how we could somehow debug this. The React Native simple Zustand DevTools. Is this what we use? No. Ooh, inspect your Zustand DevTools. Ooh. For React 17? I'm not risky enough to try it out. I mean, the thing is, Zustand has over 33k stars. I'm pretty sure that there will be a library that allows us to actually debug it. I mean, 30,000 developers and more. Somebody will have encountered the same problem and they wanted to debug Zustand, so I'm pretty sure that there is a solution out there to debug our state. No, not all NPM packages work with React Native because React Native has not the traditional DOM like on the web. So also then you got Expo, and not all packages work great with Expo, and you sometimes have to make a dev client, so not even all React Native packages work, but with Expo pre-build and the dev client, you usually can make every package with a native module work with config plugins. Improved optimized version of context API. Let's see what they say. Small, fast, and scalable bare-bones state solution using simplified Flux principles. Comfy API based on hooks, that's what I liked. isn't boilerplately or opinionated. Yeah, I think you can get started really fast with Zustand. I wonder, compared to Redux. No, this is Zustand. How many stars Redux has? I was just wondering, it doesn't have a provider wrapper, so how it re-renders the stuff. Yeah, it's magic. No, I guess they're wrapping it somehow in the context itself and managing it. But I'm not an expert, otherwise I would have created an epic library like this, but I haven't. I'm just here standing on the shoulders of giants, as they say, and enjoying the great packages. Once again, Nick, thank you for supporting, for your support in today's stream. And everyone else, of course, also thank you for tuning in. If you're tuning in later, once again, make sure that you also check out the According 10-state course, which will be like the equivalent for managing your HTTP calls and server state in your React Native applications, plus all the other countless examples on Galaxies, where I actually just this week changed the sign up. So you can now just instantly sign up. Gonna see how this affects the conversion rate. So this is a bit of behind the scenes talk. And there will be some pretty cool tutorials coming over the next week. I'm working on a super big example. I'm actually gonna give you a little preview because you're like the inner circle. Let me show you one more thing. So this is an application I'm working on, and it's going to be a really big clone application. Gonna make this a bit bigger. And then we're gonna show this on iOS. So this is the last thing for today. A preview of what you can expect in a few weeks when I finally finish this. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gals and guys. Welcome to, oh come on, bundle faster. I'm already doing the applause up front because doing it. This is what I'm working right now. A cool food delivery UI clone. This is actually the Deliveroo application. If you're from the UK or Europe, you might have used an application like this. It pretty much looks like this. We're using some dummy data in here, but there's some pretty cool things I implemented already. So we got like a modal page, nothing too fancy, but it's pretty cool. And it actually has animations, like it's making use of reanimated to animate that stuff. It has already a bottom sheet modal, which wasn't that easy to integrate, in fact. On top of that, there's already a map included. So map is here. We can also use Google search in this one. So powered by Google, we can search and we'll center the map. I'm living somewhere here in Münster, Germany. So if you didn't know, this is Münster. This is Europe, this is Germany, and this is the world. And do we have something else in here? What did I add? Oh yeah, I'm working right now on this page, which also has a parallax effect and this fading header stuff. I'm still working on the lists, and there should be like a segment control that automatically updates. So this stuff really takes a lot of time, and I hope you will enjoy this clone app when it comes out. Gotta make a free video out of this. Most likely this is going to be like a 4 or 5 hour tutorial because there's just so much stuff to cover. But I wanted to give this a try and do like a full UI build, and maybe gonna do more of that in the future. But before this comes out, there's going to be another build with the Express backend and a React Native store application and a real full stack example. There's also 1.5 or 2 hours, also completely free here on YouTube. And yeah, that's a lot of work. So I will now go back to work on this. I hope you enjoyed today's live stream. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for your support. If you want to see more, check out galaxies.dev and check out the podcast at podcast.galaxies.dev. Links will or might be below this video, and I will hopefully catch you in our next stream. I don't know if it's going to be next week or the week after, but you can be sure at some point I'll be back. So have a great week. Thanks for your support and catch you soon. And of course, happy coding.